Steel City Interactive launched their brand new boxing game Undisputed January the 31st exclusively on Steam. I got my hands on it, and here's some of my first impressions from playing the game. Our first boxing game since Fight Night Champion. Initially, offered a launch and get into a fight, the first thing that I noticed immediately was the presentation. The presentation is flat out amazing. The boxer models look spot on. Playing with Ryan Garcia and Bud Crawford and just seeing the textures, the facial hair, the tattoos, the body type, everything is spot on, and they really took their time on the presentation. Even on the ring walks, hearing the announcers speak about the boxers and some of their traits, even as far as the ring announcer introducing the fighters and saying things such as one of the guys, I can't remember his name, being the world's strongest man, or saying little interesting things about the fighter is definitely something that caught me off guard that I didn't expect when I first launched the game. I felt a little bit more incentivized to keep the audio on and to not turn music over top of it while I played, simply because the dialogue with the announcers was interesting pre-fight. Now, during the fight, it's a little bit different, which I'll get into later. But overall, the presentation, the menus, and overlays that come up once the boxers are introduced, they're really nice for it to be early access. I'm not going to say that it's going to stay this way. Since it is early access, it is subject to change. Honestly, everything in the game is subject to change. But off top, it's very clean, and I do enjoy the visuals. I didn't want to skip anything. I didn't want to skip the ring walk. I didn't want to skip them announcing the fighters. I didn't want to skip them touching gloves. I didn't want to skip any of it, online and offline, just because it looks so good. So I can only imagine what it would be like once the game reaches its 100% completed state. But overall, the presentation is amazing. Now going into what the game has to offer. Now initially, we don't have much currently. You have a quick fight where you can basically just choose a fighter. If you want to play locally, you can. If you decide to play with two players, you have somebody over, you want to get it in, you can. Otherwise, you just have quick play. You have online matches, unranked and ranked, which does have active working leaderboards currently from what I've seen. I've played unranked and it was pretty good. Again, it has some issues which I'll get into later as far as the areas of opportunity that I see when I play the game, but it's pretty bare at the moment as far as game modes. There's no career mode currently. There's no character creation currently or anything like that. That's coming later on down the line. But as of right now, the game is pretty bare as far as game modes. Now, getting into the actual fighting of the game, the fighting feels good. It's smooth. I love the movement. You can drop your gloves and you can toggle between having your guard and, being a lot more structured inside the ring. Or you also have the option to kind of drop your gloves and move a little bit lighter, float around the ring. And the animations that accompany that, they're really good. They look really good visually. It's very pleasing. I enjoy it. Now getting into the fighting aspect of it outside of just ring movement, the fighting is good. There's areas of improvement for sure. Just from playing it, this is my first time playing it and playing it here versus watching videos of where it was about a month or some change ago. The punches definitely have more impact than they used to, at least from what I've seen. You can definitely feel it once you play the game. If you land counters or if you get jabbed up, if you get hit with a heavy punch, you can feel that. And even in the display, you can kind of tell once it's heavy. It's a little inconsistent at times. I feel like with the jabs, they don't give enough impact. But I mean, it's a jab, but sometimes the punches don't give as much impact and as much feeling as I would like. But overall, I do think that they did a good job of nailing the feeling of the punches as far as knowing when you get hit, knowing when you messed up. If you threw a wild punch or something and you get countered, you can feel that. And I have a little bit of the feeling sometimes when I get countered, like I hope this doesn't knock me down. I hope this doesn't stun me, which is a good thing to make you go about your fights in a smart manner. So I do enjoy that. Now, some problems I have, or some areas of improvement, I don't even want to necessarily call them problems, but some areas of improvement that I do see is I wish you were able to let your hands fly a little more. Now, granted, it does come with a stamina ding, but oftentimes, at least with me, I have a little trouble chaining together combos. It feels kind of clunky at times, especially online. A lot of times, I felt myself throwing a punch or one to double up on a jab, and I ended up throwing too many, or I'll press the analog stick to do a hook, and he would double up, which I wouldn't want, which ultimately results in losing a big chunk of my stamina, which is very, very important in this game. Stamina doesn't take a long time to drain. It doesn't take a long time for you to lose your stamina. Granted, it is a boxing game, so it makes sense. I don't know if they're going to tune it anymore once the game actually comes out. I feel like it could use a little tuning just for it to not punish you as much in those earlier rounds if you decide to throw some punches. Now, if you're getting hit, if you're taking body shots, I get it. But I do think some tuning to the stamina needs to be done, just because a lot of times, at least fighting offline, even sometimes online, I found myself way lower on stamina than my opponent, even though I don't feel as if I've thrown as that many more punches than my opponent. So that's just some of the area improvement that I see there. It's definitely being able to let your hands fly a little bit more. Now, there is some bugs. The game is kind of buggy, and that's something that I do want to talk about really quickly. There's been times online where I've gotten knocked down and I was stuck in a corner and I couldn't move. Or it wasn't online, actually, it was offline. I was playing offline and I've gotten knocked down. And once I got up from my knockdown, I was stuck in the corner and I couldn't get out of that corner. I couldn't move at all. I was really kind of glitched there, and I got knocked down again. Once I got up again, the second time I was able to move around the ring. There's also it's also some bugginess with the camera movement. I don't want to say it's buggy, but the camera movement does need some work with certain camera angles. I feel like once it comes to actually fighting, the camera moves a little bit too much. As of right now, they only offer 2 camera angles that I've seen in the game. But once you're moving around the ring, there's a lot of movement. You're controlling your space. You're establishing your space and your zone. And a lot of times the camera does move a little bit too much. It's not OD. It doesn't like make me woozy or nothing like that. But it is kind of excessive. It doesn't necessarily have to be static, but the movement can be dialed down a little bit on some of the camera angles because it does move around a lot. Now, when it comes to knockdowns and knockouts, they can be more impactful. I feel like they can definitely make them more impactful. I think you should be able to feel when you get a knockout. Now, flash KO, those are the ones right there. I've gotten some where I've sidestepped and got an uppercut, and it was a flash KO, and it didn't go into the adrenaline mode or anything. He just fell right out. It was crazy to see. I love that. Just as far as once you're in the adrenaline mode, basically once you get into a point where you land some punches, you get into adrenaline mode, you can kind of let loose. Now there you can let your hands fly some. Your heart rate goes up. You get that adrenaline to be able to try and finish them off. I do like that. It's a nice little addition there. But once the knockdown actually happens, it doesn't feel as big as it should in that moment. That is one real actual grievance that I do have, because boxing, that's what people want to see. That's what we're here for. Like, yeah, we do want to box, but you have some that want to go ahead and get to the knockout, and the knockout should feel like a big moment. The flash knockouts do, but the regular adrenaline knockdowns, they don't feel the way that they should. Defense, it's hard for me to give a real opinion on defense currently because I feel like my defense is bad. I haven't been able to really figure out the countering yet, as far as understanding where punches are coming from and how to necessarily create advantages there yet. And that's just from this being a new experience in a new game. So I'm not really going to sweat that. But overall, the game is really, really good. I personally really do enjoy this game. I feel like it has a whole lot of potential, there's a lot of potential here for Undisputed, a lot of potential. And I'm interested and excited to see the changes that they're going to bring moving forward with the gameplay. They did mention they're going to have character customization. They did mention that you're going to be able to swap out trunks and gloves and things for fighters when you're fighting. They did mention how deep the career mode is supposed to be. So I'm excited. They have a lot coming. On top of that, we have 50 fighters out of about 200, if I'm not mistaken. Please don't quote me. But it's a lot going on. This game definitely has something going right here. I'm excited for this to be the first boxing game since Fight Night. I'm not going to draw any comparisons right now, but down the line, maybe this can be a competitor, and maybe this could be what we were really missing. We'll see once the game fully comes out. Overall, I've been enjoying my experience, even with the limited game modes. I'm just happy to have a boxing game here, and I'm just happy to be able to just like get back to it. UFC and everything was fun, but man, I've been needing a boxing game bad. I've been missing Fight Night, so this is nice. So overall, good experience. I'm having fun. I'm gonna keep playing. I'm gonna keep logging time, and I'm gonna keep figuring it out as they provide updates. So will I. So just make sure y'all stay tuned. Make sure y'all hit that like and subscribe. This is Taywop Gaming. This is my gaming page. You can come here for all my gaming content. And make sure y'all stick around. We're going to build this community. I'll be here with more news on Undisputed once it comes. But until then, I'm going to keep enjoying the game. And I'll provide y'all more feedback if I need to. Appreciate you for sticking with me. Appreciate you for pulling up. It's Taywop. I'm out of here.